Is all prepared?
All is prepared.
All hatches back.
Every single one?
Well, you'd better introduce me.
You'll be able to die happy, won't you?
Aren't you going to stand watch?
How long does this take?
Come on, pull! Come on, pull! Pull!
Pull to open.
Pull to open!
Yes, and what do you do?
That's very easy. They just throw you down the pit and drop rocks on you.
Look, are you trying to take my mind off something because you're almost succeeding?
By the speed this one's forming, it's going to be a daddy.
I told you not to exaggerate.
Here come the drums! Dun 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 dun.
Kroll.
Dun 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 dun.
Kroll.
Dun 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 dun.
Kroll.
And hello and welcome to Pull to Open, the only Doctor Who podcast that will go randomly throughout the entire run of the show in search of the best seafood. I'm Pete Paschal.
And I'm Chris Taylor. And yes, my goodness, do we have some spectacular octopus for you today. It's off the hook. Or is it squid? I can never quite tell the difference on the menu. Anyway.
Some suckers in there. There's some high protein. I was smelling some methane the last time I was chowing down on it. So don't know what was going on there.
Yeah, it's an acquired taste, I've got to say. So much of what we're doing today is an acquired taste. But yes, I could say that. But what tastes brought us here? What's been on the Pull to Open menu, Pete?
Well, for appetizers, previously on Pull to Open, we were at, quite some time ago, we were at the Sylvester McCoy area. This was Sylvester McCoy area. It was an area.
The area of Sylvester.
Yeah, of Earth colonization, I will say that, in the future. I don't know how far in the future, but there were colonies. One was called Terra Alpha. And there was some bad things going on there. Not good things, not happy things, as much as the veneer put on that place might have seemed otherwise. No, that was the Happiness Patrol, really towards the end of the run of the classic series. Then we jumped forward in time, but backward in time in the show to the Victorian era in Scotland. And the only time there was a wolf in Scotland in the last couple hundred years, but it wasn't. That's really right. A wolf. There was a man aspect to it. It was, a man 27 days out of the month. And they had some teeth and some claws all over the place. But that's what it was called, Tooth and Claw. That was a great tennis.
Tooth and Claw, yes. The only appearance of Queen Victoria in the show. Go back and listen to that if you want all the Queen Victoria history you can handle. And we got pretty toothy with it.
Only appearance of Queen Victoria, but not the only appearance of a wolf, because we were taken immediately to perhaps another. There must have been other wolf appearances in Doctor Who, but so there's certainly one in the second Doctor adventure, the Ice Warriors. Although it was more heard than seen. In, again, the far future, where the Ice Age had taken over, some chill animals had emerged in the Britannica space. And
including a very, very cute baby bear.
Oh,
was
so cute.
Adorably mauling Jamie McCrimmon, who was also mentioned in Tooth and Claw. That was definitely that connection.
Lots of connections. But then the randomizer decided... this is a little too cold. There's a little too much ice. There's a little too much solid water going on here in the Ice Warriors. And it took us to an adventure where perhaps wetness will feature. Certainly lots of liquid.
Witness will prevail. Yes.
Take of that what you will. Prevail. No, we were rocketed towards the end of the Key to Time season. This is season 16, serial 5, The Power of Kroll.
Kroll! And here's the thing about the Power of Kroll. Here's the thing about the Randomizer and the Key to Time series, which is that it is doing it as is appropriate for the series in which it was born. It is doing it in so randomly. And years ago, back in 2021, Pete, I don't know if you remember, it was that early. We did the Androids of Tara.
Oh, my.
That was our first Key to Time.
Like it was yesterday.
I know, right? And then in 2023, we did the Pirate Planet.
Right, that's the second segment, I believe.
Yes. And then in 2024, we did the Armageddon Factor. And
yeah. That's right. We finished it up. Yep, that was the most recent one we did, I think.
That's right. So, this probably means that the Ribos operation, was it Ribos operation? We'll find out when we get there.
Depends which hemisphere of the galaxy you're in, I think.
Okay. Well, we're saving that one till last. Obviously, the first one, the one setting it all up. We're confused as hell because we're just bouncing around. But I like that the randomizer has gone like, no, I want to complete the end of the Key to Time series before we get anywhere near the start. And the Power of Kroll is slotted right there between our very first Android Zatara and our most recent Armageddon Factor. So, yeah, it's in a random way, the randomizer is being a bit of a completist.
Our relationship with the Key to Time series is akin to the Doctor's relationship with One River Song, I would say. And every time
that's right.
we arrive at one of these, you and I and the Guardians need to pull out our diaries. Where are we on this? What can we
love that. Also, River Song, absolutely perfect for this episode, so much of which is, you could say it's a song of a river.
All right. Well, we need to cross our own river now to another segment of the show. One where perhaps river emojis will feature, perhaps not. But regardless, we are diving in to the Whomoji Challenge.
Must we?
We must.
Must we?
We got to start swimming in all these emojis. This is the part of the show where I get to pull out a whole bunch of emojis from my swamp, I guess, and throw them at you and cover you all in them, and you get all gunky. But perhaps you could take a few of them, put them together, and create something that is representative of a Doctor Who title. That's what we're going to do here.
And last time for the Ice Warriors, we had a Troughton story with the same TARDIS team. So I suspect that this one is going to be a little bit more difficult.
It might be a little more difficult. Yeah, that one was a little gunky, right? There was a little bit of a foam party on the beach. There was like stuff covering people. I see a theme here.
Right, yes. It was the Underwater Fury. Yes, continue.
Here we go. That's right. Okay, we're going to do this one.
Okay.
It's the 7 emoji.
Okay.
And it begins right now. I don't care if you're ready. First emoji is a robot face.
Okay.
The second emoji is the recycling symbol. You know, the 3 arrows kind of going around and around.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The next emoji is a person swimming. The next one is a library. Oh, no, sorry. It's a books.
Some books, which may be related to a library.
Yeah.
Okay.
The next one is a telescope.
Okay.
Then there is a droplet, a big droplet, presumably of water.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is an explosion. All right. Putting that in the chat.
Yes, please do, because by the time you got to the explosion, I'd forgotten everything after the robot. All right. Recycled robot goes for a swim in the library, looks through a telescope, drops water on an explosion.
That's what happens.
Yeah, let's just say that's the plot. Is it? I'm just going to start throwing like scattershot guesses. Is it robot?
It's not robot.
Is it the Robot Revolution?
It's not the Robot Revolution.
Is it Robots of Death?
It's not Robots of Death. I'll give you a hint in that the robot is not obvious in this one. It's not like the feature of the story, but it is a part of the story.
Well, I can't look at the swimming emoji without thinking of the TARDIS swimming pool, which makes me think it's Invasion of Time. Or
not quite. It's not Invasion of Time.
Think of big swimming pool stories. Journey to the center of the TARDIS? No. Journey to the center of the TARDIS?
Journey to the center of the TARDIS!
Hey!
Great job.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember Journey to the Center of the TARDIS very well, I've got to say.
Well, I was a little worried that the library thing, when I sort of spouted that out, like obviously I was thinking of the TARDIS library when I said it, and it came out. So there's that scene that's very vivid to me because it's like Clara's trying to move away from, or get away from the weird gunky creatures. I keep saying gunky, but it's like the lava creatures that are coming for her, and she's hiding in the TARDIS library. And then there's all that stuff. Like a lot of this stuff is just rooms in the TARDIS, like the observatory thingy with the black hole part, the swimming pool, etc. So the robot, if you remember that one, it's not a big feature of the plot, but they fool their brother into thinking he's a robot or something like that. Do you remember this?
Something like that. I don't. I really wish. I mean, I feel like, and we're going to get to this in Power of Kroll, but there are some Doctor Who stories where you're just like, I know that I wanted to like that. I know that I wanted to like the idea of that, and somehow all of the plot details just vanished after I watched it.
You might have liked it. It probably just wasn't epic. Like, do you remember when we went back to the Caretaker? Like, neither of us remembered anything about that episode. And we were like, oh, wow, this is actually quite good. There's some good scenes in here. So I think Journey to the Stardust might be that. It might be due for a re-examination. We haven't done it for the podcast because we have, as we said in the last podcast, like, we've barely done any of Series 7. So maybe it'll come up. Of course, the randomizer is never that predictable. But you can be, listener, by simply submitting these emojis into a review of the podcast. That is a very predictable way to get your Whomoji read out on the podcast in this delightful game we call the Whomoji Challenge, probably next, because we've pretty much exhausted all of the review Whomojis, and now we're kind of going through the ones who had to wait, and this one was actually submitted by Elwin Oriet. And that was on Spotify, and it was a bit of some time ago, but you eventually get to the front of the line when the review stops. But if you are inclined, please leave a review for Pull to Open with a Whomoji, and you will be next. That's my promise to you.
That's right. And if you just can't wait to participate in the show, and you're on Spotify watching us, then you can pull from the bottom of the screen. That's right, it's Poll to Open. Every week we give ratings for the show. You can vote right now on the Power of Kroll. I know that all you Kroll fans have rushed straight to this contest. I know that there's a big Kroll fandom out there. We're really going to get down to uncovering that fandom.
There's a big Kroll fandom out there, and if all we have to do is do a quick misspelling of the title here, and we'll get all those fans of that 80s movie with the 5-pronged shuriken alien thingy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, just a little SEO work, a little SEO magic there, and we'll get those listeners as well.
All 7 of those Kroll fans. We know you're out there. Come on. Come check out the Power of Kroll, or is it?
Or is it? Not exactly a lot of fans of either that are known to us yet, but we're about to blow it right open. Kroll Mania starts here. That's right. You heard it here first. And you control your Kroll Mania in Poll to Open right now if you pull from the bottom of the screen. And we'll read out the preliminary results because these stay open for over 1,500 days. So you can affect the poll that we're about to talk about, which is the Happiness Patrol. And
patrol.
Happiness for Kroll. Happiness for Kroll. The Happiness Patrol. The power of the Happiness Patrol is pretty strong. Happiness is so far prevailing in the vote. And if all the people who liked it in some way were to form a coalition, you'd have like nearly 3/4 of the vote here, right? But the lead one, I know I'm delaying saying what the lead one is because it's the one you voted for. But it is the Dalek. You gave it a pink Dalek, and that is currently in the lead. I said Viscount Zarbi, and I got to say once again, Pete, if we're playing coalition politics here, and you put the Viscount Banger and the Zarbi together, then together they've got about 46%, which is going to outweigh the Daleks. So sorry.
Yeah, I'd have to fall in alliance with the Professor Haters and the Ogras too. It's not a very good coalition.
No,
I'd have more faith in yours.
Yeah, yeah. So you heard it here first, folks. The Viscount Zarbi is the preliminary winner of the Happiness Patrol. You can go back and vote on that.
Got to say, big showing for this being one of the best ever. It's not the number one.
Yeah.
It's Dalek, and I think that's accurate. But a lot of people really like this episode. I definitely see why. There's some surprising depth here. This is definitely like McCoy Doctor Who, probably at its peak. This is like season 25 or so, and a lot of stuff that they're exploring and doing. It's it does a good job. It just, like I said, it's one of those rare Doctor Who's where you wish there was more of it. You wish it was longer, but there's a lot there already.
You know what? Looking at this vote, I kind of I want to see the pull to open alternate universe. Where first of all, I'm very curious about the pull to open alternate universe, about whether the randomizer chooses the same things, or are we just off in a completely different timeline? Ponder that. But where the alternate universe where we decided our rating for the So Bad It's Good Doctor Who episode was the Candyman and not the Zarbi, would more people have voted Candyman for the Happiness Patrol, given that it's his one and only outing?
True.
Yes.
That would have skewed the vote, I would say. And
it would have done.
There'd be a conflict with that rating. We would have had to take it out of the rating.
I know. Maybe, you know what? Maybe when we get to the web planet, the Zarbi will have to recuse itself and the Candyman will take over. Just for that one vote. But anyway, you can still vote on that. And if you want to tell us all about the Pull to Open alternate universe, if you are in that alternate universe right now, you can follow us on social. Tell us there. We're on Pull to Open. On TikTok and Blue Sky, Pull to Open 63. On Instagram, X, most other places. If you are on YouTube, you can be a true companion, not a waits behind in the TARDIS because it's getting a bit swampy out of there kind of companion. Sorry, K9. And you can do that. You can support the show on both YouTube and Spotify. Scroll down to the bottom of the show notes and Spotify it. And on YouTube, the link's just right there. It's right down there.
Awesome. And now it is time, sir, for you to support the show by holding up one of the pillars of Pull to Open, which is, of course, TLDW, Too Long Didn't Watch, Too Long Doctor Who, the part of the show where we summarize the plot, the story, in record time. And as I've said, it is your turn to tell us all about what the heck happened here in the Power of Kroll.
What the heck happened here, indeed? This is the problem with the whole setup of Pull to Open, is that if you are too sort of conscientious about your Doctor Who viewing, then you will watch it so early ahead of the podcast. By the time you get to the podcast, you might have forgotten the entire story.
You might have. Dozing off a little bit during this.
Yes.
I would never do that.
Well, no, that never happened during the Censorites. I would have been quite easily able to doze off during this, given that I watched this on a plane to Ireland, where they were liberally serving wine. I'm here in the UK right now, by the way. Hi everyone. I'm on UK time. Jet lag's wonderful. Anyway, I came in via Dublin, and so watching a show that is full of green creatures, it just all felt a bit St. Patrick's Day, a bit leprechaun-y. And that's sort of the haze, the jet lag haze in which I remember it now. So this is going to be a challenge.
Okay. It's going to be a challenge, all right, especially because you only have 30 seconds per classic Who episode, and that gives you 2 minutes to tell us everything about what happened here in the Power of Kroll. Are you ready? And I'll just give you a little countdown.
No, but let's plunge in anyway.
All right. Here it comes, the official Pull to Open summary of the Power of Kroll. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so it's the third moon. It's called Delta Magma or something, and there's a refinery there, and the people running the refinery have basically colonized it, and there are swampies there. That's the natives, and the people in the refinery, led by this guy Thorne. He wants to basically just sort of use any excuse to overrun the swampies. So he's hired this gun runner Rumdat, I think his name was. Meanwhile, Dr. Romana land, the Doctor's mistaken for Rumdat. Romana's captured by the Swampies. She's taken back. She's tied to the stake, and we think it's Kroll menacing her, but the Doctor comes in, and no, it's just one of the Swampies in a costume. Meanwhile, the refinery people are, invading the Swampies, and basically what we learn is that we think it's the Sons of Earth who's provided the Swampies with the guns, but it's actually Thorn. He wants to create a pretext to wipe them off and build more refineries. But the refinery is farming all this methane, and where's the methane coming from? It's coming from this giant squid named Kroll, who has giant tentacles, and it's what the Swampies worship. And the Doctor finds this book that's all about Kroll and stuff, and there's lots of tentacles coming out of pipes and strangling people, and lots of back and forth. Rumdat gets carried off. The gunrunner gets carried off, and the Swampies they torture the Doctor and Romana by stretching these vines stretch in the sunshine, but the Doctor hits a high note and he breaks the ceiling and it comes down. Anyway, almost everyone gets killed by Kroll except for the humans. Except for one of the humans, I think, and the religious head of the Swampies gets killed by Kroll as well. And the Doctor and Romana find that the segment of the key to time is within Kroll, and that's why he grew so big. Why he was a giant octopus.
Pretty good.
Thank you.
You kind of seem to get a little bored about halfway through. Like you really seem
kind
to
of, yes.
Kind of stuff
An accurate representation.
Back and forth, swampy, like tentacles and stuff. I'll make one.
It kind of is.
Which
yes.
is just. It's less of a correction and more. I have a contention with how you describe Kroll as a giant squid. This is a gargantuan squid. This is a kaiju. This is Doctor Who's kaiju episode. This is a massive, like sci-fi scale level creature that is terrorizing / being worshipped by the people in the story. So that's the thing.
Yeah,
I don't think you gave that quite the right amount of weight. That this is like unbelievably, insanely big. It takes up the horizon.
He does take up the horizon, a very curious horizon, isn't it? Very interestingly cut off for horizon there. No, we're talking about the terrible special effect that is the cliffhanger for the end of episode 3, yes?
Yes, but it's used in episode 2 as well. You're talking about Kroll rising?
Right.
Yeah.
Kroll rising, yes, from out of the swamp. And it's sort of like one of the things that people say about this, one of the reasons why a lot of Doctor Who fans, fair to say, are disappointed with the Power of Kroll, including one, checks notes, Robert Holmes. Didn't really like his own work here.
But
he
the writer of
said
this.
He was the writer, Bob Holmes, one of the greatest writers in the history of Doctor Who.
Absolutely.
And this was his least favorite Doctor Who, and this is the guy who wrote the Crotons. I love the Crotons. Sorry, Bob.
He has trouble with single word K monsters or villains, I guess you might say.
That's what it is.
Interesting coincidence.
Right, coincidence with a K. But yes, so fans always go on about the special effects that forms one of the cliffhangers, where the Doctor and Romana appear to be basically punting towards this huge, as you say, kaiju on the horizon. But it's not actually that bad. I didn't really see what people's issue was. It kind of, for Doctor Who, and certainly compared to a lot of the other special effects in this, like when he's attacking the refinery, and it's so clear that it's a model. It's actually that scene is actually not that bad, right?
It's not bad. No, I honestly, I remember as a kid seeing this, and I thought this is cool, and I was pretty young, and I actually hadn't seen too much of the Godzilla movies at that point, so this was probably one of my more or less first exposures to the idea of kaiju, these unbelievably large beasts that may or may not come in Rampage. And I remember thinking that was just a really cool idea. That it's just and also that it's a squid. and those are just kind of scary and weird. It's easy to scrutinize. It's easy to point at bad special effects, and even at the time, I suppose you could have done it. And this is, I believe, 1978 when it was broadcast. So we're kind of getting into the zone of Star Wars and things, expectations getting higher. But
Yes.
I love the idea of Kroll, and I think it's a little underutilized. Like, I think one of the problems is, even though Doctor Who is pretty good, and most of the actors here are pretty good actually at taking the material seriously and getting you to care about the stakes. I feel like the Kroll thing, like, there should have been way more jaw dropping. Like if you were to do that today, beyond just the effects being better, you would have like zoom ins on people just like eyes popping out of their skulls, just going like, what the hell is happening? Like. Because there's very little of that actually on both the times. I mean, it comes up 2 or 3 times, but like the two big horizon rises, which are in the episode 2 and episode 3, there's virtually nothing. In the second one, the Doctor and Romana are in a boat, sort of seemingly heading toward the thing, and they're both just kind of nonplussed, like, oh, Kroll's here. Oh, someone got grabbed by a tentacle. Well, I guess we'll just stay still and hope it goes away.
Yeah, they really, got to say, Tom Baker and Mary Tam not necessarily selling their roles here. Nobody really seemed to be, and none of the actors seemed to be that happy. Certainly not Philip Madoc, who's one of the 3 humans in the control room, thought he was getting the full character. He's clearly not a happy bunny.
Well, see, I thought he was pretty good. I think the refinery guys are all pretty neat. And interestingly enough, John Leeson plays one of them, who, of course, is usually the voice of K9.
That's right. Yeah.
And because of all the location shooting, and it was all done in this sort of swampy area where there were reeds and lots of water. I mean, it was just completely impractical to have K9 in the story. So they just took him out. And that's at least part of the reason why they cast, what is his name? Dougeen?
Dougeen, that's right, yes. John Leeson is Doug. Dougeen stars as John Leeson.
Dougeen Hauser.
MD. It's an interesting choice, but also, I got to say, okay, so on the K9 front, they really did him dirty, I think, by just writing him out of this. And I know Bob Holmes is like, oh, it's going to be Swampy. We just don't want him in there. But, and I know we're not supposed to do this as a random podcast, so excuse me, listeners, if I refer to the previous episode that you would have just watched. I don't know if you remember, at the end of Androids of Tara, K9 is spinning around in a boat, and we don't actually get to see how that ends, right? How he gets back to the TARDIS.
The Doctor just has a good laugh at his expense.
That's right. So, to open this episode with K9 as marooned, I assume that when Romana says that, she means that he's marooned in the TARDIS.
Right, yeah. Well, the Doctor even says, hey, K9, as soon as, that's like the last line or something when he comes back.
Yeah, so
it's exactly that.
But so he can be in a boat then, but he can't be in a boat now? Come on.
Well, they didn't have the boat. I mean, I don't know. It's just, it's a little bit of like the behind the scenes becoming the actual on-screen reason, right? Because they've done things in other episodes where there's just something wrong with him. Whether what was the time he had laryngitis? I forget which episode. It might have been Destiny of the Daleks.
Oh, God.
But
there wasn't that when they switched voices. Yeah, when it wasn't John Leeson.
So not having K9, it's all right. Like, the thing is, like, I guess they're fulfilling John Leeson's contract by having him in the story as a guest character. They're not really fulfilling the fans' contract of like, hey, I tune in to see K9 every week. He's not here.
That's right. That would have been me.
You got a giant squid. What do you got to have something. You got a little something there.
But if I don't know if you're aware of this, Pete, but the episode 2 of The Power of Kroll was the highest rated, got the highest audience of anything in this entire season, anything in the Key to Time. So if you're a producer watching that, you're like, hey, people saw that K9 wasn't going to be in this, and then they tuned in in droves the next week.
I guess. I don't know.
I'm sure that's
what they chalk it up to. I know there was a
but,
strike around the time. I mean, I understand it. This episode, the second one, was broadcast in the week between Christmas and New Year, so maybe there was just absolutely nothing to do in Britain. at the time, and so everyone was watching Doctor Who. But I like to think that having a big squid creature, that kind of idea, just as resonant. I mean, we all kind of like going to see movies like Godzilla and Pacific Rim. It's you kind of want to see what that had. We're just fascinated by that idea of big things. Part of the reason why the dinosaurs, I think, are constantly thought of as a really cool thing and certainly a fun thing to put in pop culture. They're just big. They're gigantic.
Yeah.
It just blows your imagination away. So
yeah, this story, it really does Kroll dirty. I think we're on the same page on that. We needed more of him, especially given the title. Now, the Doctor's greatest enemies had to wait an entire Doctor to get their Power of title. The Doctor herself had to wait 13 regenerations to get her Power of title. The only other Power of title we've had is the Power of 3. Thanks for messing up my point, Chris Chibnall. But 3, hey, that's powerful. But anyway, Kroll is just like he's got power. That wasn't actually the original title that Robert Holmes was working on, right? It was it something like the Fear of the Swamp or something like that?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think it was called Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing. Hey, there's an idea. Call us, DC.
I like that.
No. Horror
the
of the Swamp.
To the key to time aspect of this one is the title. In that's the clue. The Power of Kroll is the 5th segment.
Yeah.
So now, whenever you want to step out of your show, Doctor, and break the fourth wall, there's where you can find your clues on what you're doing in the show.
I love that. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and that was the title was from the production office, by the way, which was at this point, because Graham Williams, the producer, was sick, being headed up by John Nathan Turner. Might hear more from that kid.
Maybe. I do think, I don't think we can totally close the book on special effects. I'm sure they're going to come up, but just to kind of like nitpick it a bit, watching it now, you think like, obviously the effects are dated, but you're also like, well, wait a minute, why aren't there like secondary effects of this massive creature? Like you never see waves of any kind with of it, like theoretically, like there would just be massive like tidal wave stuff whenever it would like move. And that would just be like terribly destructive. The tentacles are all tiny compared to the beast. Strangely enough, not all of them. But I guess they show some big ones, but you never see the big tentacles doing anything other than in the miniature version. And even then, they don't really do anything. You kind of look at the size of Kroll, and you look at sort of the flimsiness of that refinery miniature, and you're just like, how is it not just completely destroying it like instantly? Like it would just like bat it at a second, and it would just completely crumble. So
I was amazed to find that Kroll had four operators. It doesn't like they're not really got that on screen, right? But there was 4 people there operating tentacles, and then stuff was coming out of his mouth. But you don't,
I don't know.
Oh,
like I don't know.
Wow.
I mean, Kroll,
well,
like the sort of center of the beast actually looks kind of cool with the eye, and I think they got the texture of its skin like quite good. All of that's fine. You just kind of wish, again, you kind of want more of it. Like you have this sort of idea, and it's kind of a big dumb idea because kaiju are sort of big dumb things, and it's kind of like can you inject some smarts in it? And that's where I think Robert Holmes, he's a little hard on himself here. Like, I'm going to admit, yes, this isn't the most sophisticated script. There's not a lot of changing of the stakes, and not that there was a lot of that anyway in the classic series. It's very straightforward. But they do layer in sort of an anti-colonial, the evils of racism themes within this ostensibly big dumb monster story. So it's a little smarter than it probably gets credit for. And some of those scenes, some of that stuff actually works really well. I do think the guy who plays Thawne, Neil McCarthy, he's mustache twisting. He's evil from the get-go, but like the way he delivers those lines are very good. Like he really goes for it. Particularly, like I like when the Doctor sort of needs to reluctantly be sort of quite allied with these guys, but he's obviously has more in common with them than the Swampies. And from the get-go, the guy's like, no, the swampies don't count. Like the Doctor, that's what the very first sort of really evil moment where he's kind of like, well, there's only 6 of you here. And he's like, well, you meant 5. And he's like, no, 1, 2, 3. Oh, no, you're counting the swampy. And like, no, dude, no, that's not one of us. And then he's very much like, the Doctor even confronts him. Oh, so he doesn't count? No. Like he did, and that's him throughout. That's him completely top to bottom.
Yeah, he's a fanatic, which is what you kind of wonder why the other characters, Dougine and whatever the Philip Maydock guy is, why they're just sort of constantly surprised that he's being so fanatical and racist and just wanting to wipe the Swampies out. It's, as you say, there's no going from 0 to 60 with Thorn. I keep wanting to say Thrawn as a Star Wars fan, but yeah, no, he's there from the start, and he just there's nowhere to go from there.
But you get a nice continuum, I think, among the guest cast of evil, not quite to good, but better, right? Because you have Fenner, who's Philip Maydock's character. He has a nice little texture to him, I thought. Like, he talks about progress in that first scene, and the Doctor's a nice line about it being a very flexible word. It can mean whatever you want, which is cool. And then he has a bit of a journey, because by the end, where Thawne is like basically murdering people and doing whatever it takes to win and kill the Swampies, like, he's disgusted, and he's like, I'm not part of this, and I'm going to report you for murder. Like, that was kind of cool. And I feel like he's done a little bit dirty at the end, because the Doctor just leaves and the Swampies start to surround him menacingly. You definitely get the sense this is not going to end well for this guy. Plus, they've just basically seen their god be killed, right? I'm kind of a little wondering, like, why didn't they have a problem with the Doctor having just basically gotten rid of Kroll? Anyway,
you're not wrong. So many of these things don't hang together. But sorry, yes.
I just want to complete the thought on the sort of continuum I was talking about. So you have Thawne, then you have Fenner, and then you have Dougine and John Leeson. And so this guy seems to have had this moral decision thrust upon him because Thawne is so bad. Like, it seems like he hasn't really put his lot fully in with sort of the Sons of Earth side and the Swampy side until now. But once he's confronted with this extremist in Thawne, who's going to commit mass murder just to get stuff done, he's like, no, like, we're not doing this. And I'm on their side, not yours. So that's good. It's good to see that kind of like turn. So again, like, they all could have been sort of interchangeable, but Doctor Who's actually generally pretty good about getting the right people and having decent performances out of them. So a little more texture there than you would have thought. Certainly more texture than the Swampies, unfortunately. They're all pretty much one note, except for Rankin, who's the leader. Then they're all just good, like the green guys.
They are all the green guys. They are, practically, they're dancing with spears. I mean, it's just the colonial narrative here is not very buried, you might say. And I've got to say, Robert Holmes says he was inspired by the situation of the Native Americans, the idea that, they go on reservations and then get driven off reservations, right? That whole part of American history, which is, yes, that's worth exploring, but that may not be in the right what you know kind of realm of Robert Holmes's life, right? I mean, Robert Holmes is obviously, we know from things like Carnival of Monsters, he's like no friend to sort of the British imperial narrative. And there's a lot in Britain's colonial past that he could have drawn on here. Perhaps to give it more texture and make it less generic, right? Because it gets so generic here that they're basically, at the end of episode 1, they're replicating the scene in King Kong, right?
Yeah.
That's it's basically just, it's Fay Ray sort of being tied to the by the natives on Kong Island, and that's and then you have this. I mean, it's a lot of disconnected ideas, because then you have that looks like a cheap guy in a suit strangling a guy in a cheap costume strangling her. Oh wait, it is. That's the surprise. It is.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I don't know. I'm a little. I actually don't mind the lack of absolute, almost like condescending moral construction. Like, if you contrast this with something like Avatar, where again, I've only seen the first Avatar movie, but the the Na'vi are sort of portrayed as something like just almost super pure, right? Like they're just completely in love with nature and they're all very cooperative, et cetera, all this stuff. And again, it's fine, but I don't mind that there's a little more texture in terms of like we don't love the swampies either. You know what I mean? Like they're clearly sort of, they are primitive and they have these rituals and they're justifying things through their religion, which isn't great.
Well, it's Ranquin really who's doing all of that. He's the fundamentalist at the center. Yeah.
Exactly. He's fundamental. Exactly how I would describe him. And so there's not like a clear everyone's great on this side and everyone's bad on the other side. To your point, it's two sides and there's a structure to it that makes you weigh one or the other, but they're both being led by extremists. And the people sort of in the middle are being strung along and being just tied up, murdered, and basically bad things have done to them out of fear.
Well, speaking of strung along and tied up, I didn't get to it very much in the TLDW, but the scene where Dr. Romana and the gunrunner Ram Dutt. Why am I finding the names so damn forgettable on this? I think it's because the characters are. But anyway,
is kind of memorable.
Yeah,
even though the role is it, the guy he's weird. He plays it like he has an Irish accent, and apparently the actor was Welsh, which was a weird choice. But
yes, another weird reason to be watching it all playing to Dublin, right? But yeah, but so that it's the most contrived thing I think I've seen in Doctor Who in a long time. Most contrived way of killing him. And I like the, it's a very Bob Holmes touch to be like, oh, level 1 is just we throw you down a pit and you die. And this is like level 7 or whatever. I forget what the actual dialogue is, but the idea is that this, the tortures get more elaborate, the more, the greater the sin, I guess, against Kroll.
Level 7 is basically the rack.
Yes. It's the rack, but using creeping vines, and which I could just about buy if we just had a few close-up shots where it didn't look like they could move their legs very easily, which is kind of the overall thing. Then something happens that also happens in the first episode, which is the Doctor is badly dubbed with unrealistic sound effect. Right. In episode 1, the Doctor is taking a reed, a super thin reed, and playing Bach. Is it on the flute? That's what we hear. We're supposed to believe that this tiny thin reed of grass is what he's producing.
The reed just randomly in the swamp, Chris. It's just
and come up with Bach first time. No, but then also he. So first of all, he references a British opera singer, Nellie, I forget her name, but he's apparently he learned this from her. He's basically hitting a high C over C, or whatever it is that shatters glass.
Oh, when he shatters glass.
Yes.
It's I will say the sound that does come out of his mouth, what they dub in, is a little nuts. But I also remember I really liked that solution. I thought it was clever because it is one of these Houdini moments. Like, how are you going to get out of this one? And they set it up so that it's not totally obvious. You kind of think they're going to do something with the window, but you don't know what. And he does that, and it's like, oh, cool. And this is a thing that I think, I don't know if it was the 70s, but it was a thing where using sound to shatter something was kind of thought of as a superpower. Because I remember seeing this in comic books and things like that around the time. I mean, you think of even Black Canary, which I guess was before this, but that's in DC Comics. That idea was somehow resonant 50 something years ago or whatever. So I thought that was kind of cool. My problem with that resolution is that after it's done, it depends on there being this rainstorm outside. And it's pouring rain, so that once the rain gets on these vines, they're not dry anymore, and they can sort of get out. They become flexible, and it's all good. Even if you buy that it could happen that quickly. And I guess I can buy that because it's an alien planet, even though it kind of looks like an Earth swamp. It's okay, these could be alien planets that just happens to. there's no rain in the next shot. There's nothing pouring in from the window, which there should be. Like they're just kind of there in the same place. Like, well, where's the rainstorm that you just used?
Yeah, a lot of these, it just sort of, and again, this was John Nathan Turner having to fill in at the last minute on a lot of these decisions, but just a few close-ups there, just a few extra inserts. I believe there is even some rain dropping in before he smashes the window for a quick second, like some sort of filtering in at the side, which is confusing as hell in the overall payoff. To your point, by the way, Dame Nellie Melba. I have to apologise to our Australian listeners. I must respect. She's an Australian operatic lyric coloratura soprano from the Victorian era. So Victoria would have known her. Little tooth and claw connection there. And nice. Melba was a pseudonym. It wasn't her real name. Helen Porter Mitchell was her real name, but she took Melba from Melbourne. So. Good on you, Dame Nellie, and good on you, Australia, for producing her, and good on you, Doctor, I guess, for learning how to sing like her.
Well, good on you, Bob Holmes, for the reference.
Yeah, seriously.
I will say there are like nice little moments, little tiny hidden gems in this script. Like there's might be one of my favorite Bob Holmes lines that I just really enjoyed this time around watching this, where the Doctor has just freed Romana. And they find the book, right? The ancient book that the Swampies look at. And the dialogue is that the Doctor's like, hey, I found this. It's an illustrated history of the tribe. It's sort of Bayeux tapestry with footnotes. And then Romana's like, oh, it's sort of holy writ. And the Doctor's like, I think it's atrociously writ. Those aren't bad. And I just like, all right, that's pretty good. I like that. Nice. Yeah. Even in one of Bob Holmes' scripts that he regards the least, he still has some great moments.
Yes, and some of the ones that were cut out, I think less said about them, the better. But I was looking at some of the excisions from the script here, and they would not have aged as well.
But the rich thing, I could see like a Joss Whedon putting that in something like a Buffy episode or something. It's pretty damn clever. And Tom Baker's still good. He can still make a lot out of a so-so script. I think the way he kind of takes command and finishes sentences in these decisive ways, like when in the episode 4, the Swampies have come aboard the refinery and they're talking about Kroll. I think it's Rankin. And he's like, Kroll is this, Kroll is that, and Kroll is all baloney. And it's just like, this is why we watch every week, to see Tom Baker come in, take command of scenes, and use his smarts, right? It's just really, really great. And obviously Bob Holmes gets that. I love his little bit, where he talks about how Thawne, maybe Kroll's saving Thawne for pudding. He's just like seemingly not taking it seriously, but we truly know that, the Doctor's just got something up his sleeve, and he's going to figure out a way to defeat the monster, defeat the bad guys, and get away with the 5th segment, which of course he does.
I was annoyed that it takes us so long to get to the Doctor confronting Thawne. That could have been a few more episodes at least. Like they padded this a lot. There was so much that was inserted in part 2 in particular, with redundant dialogue. Thawne falsely implicating Ron Dutt and the Doctor with the Swampies, like it just utterly unnecessary stuff when we could have had more of that confrontation that, as you say, we're all expecting, we're all wanting, we're all building towards. We want the Doctor to confront the supreme racist here, and tell him what for, and but also confronting the fundamentalist priest. I mean, like that. It just there wasn't enough payoff in any of these areas, right? In Kroll, in Thawne, and in the High Priest who Rankin. Yeah, see, I keep forgetting his name. We shouldn't go too far away from the Swampies without mentioning maybe the most the nastiest mistake that I think the BBC ever made in the filming of Doctor Who was covering these guys in green paint.
Right.
And then not having the right solvent to get it off.
Yeah. Yep.
So they had to
Great
go
moments in
all
BBC production.
right. They had to go to the local RAF base, which is near where they were filming this, and go take chemical showers while Royal Air Force squaddies poked fun at them. And then still, apparently, they had a greenish hue after that.
I kind of wonder, if I imagine a bunch of them probably are no longer with us, and like it was there, like it's almost like an ideal thing for like a cancer study. Assuming they might have,
Right.
I don't know. I just have no idea what happened to all these actors, but I hope they were okay, of course. But it sounds like that was they were like, speaking of being done dirty, like they were done dirty, like literally.
Wow. Talk about the power of Kroll. Reaching its tentacles forward into the future. Wow, that's okay. We need an investigative journalist on this stat.
The green, like it works well enough, like, and they went all the way with it. Like these people are head to toe covered in green paint, and you're just like, oh wow, that's cool. Like they did not hold back. It's fine. They're kind of half naked most of the time, which I'm thinking is like, okay, maybe they weren't super thrilled about that. But you can't see that many areas where they missed the paint. It's like, okay, there was some kind of process.
I guess it's also, I did say it's sort of, St. Patrick's Day appropriate, but also really, given that this was a Christmas story, here they are. I don't know if they're representing the Grinch. They're a little Grinch, Rankin certainly a little Grinch-like. Or if they're just sort of, elves.
They needed to have some red, though. What if they had Kroll being red instead of this brownish green? That would have been better.
Yeah.
Or at least Romana's outfit is a little bit of red in it, so there's that. They could have had
Yes.
I don't know.
They should have made this more Christmassy. It should have been like, and Kroll grew 3 sizes that day.
Just to rewind to Thawne for a bit and his death, you're right. Like the Doctor's confrontation with Thawne, which is building throughout, and that should have been a better payoff. I will say, like again, his death is an interesting choice because it happens relatively early. Like it's kind of ostensibly the win, that's it. But then there's they have to prevent the explosion or the whatever they call it, the rocket from going off a minute later. But it's one of the rare bloody deaths of Doctor Who. It's only for like a second or a split second even, where the Swampy's spear hits him, and he's grabbing it as he falls down, and there's blood all over his hand, and you're just like, oh wow! I mean, they did a good job there. But whenever there's blood in Doctor Who, you're just kind of like, wow.
You're like, has someone checked on Mary Whitehouse, who basically got Philip Hinchcliffe fired through all the adult level gruesomeness of Doctor Who in his era? And it's sort of interesting. I was reminded reading up on this that we're in the era of Doctor Who where basically Graham Williams was told you can't be scary like Philip Hinchcliffe was, but also he has now been told don't be too funny either. Don't make it too funny either. Well, what's left?
Yeah.
What is left if you take those 2 out of Doctor Who? So,
they went all the way with the funny in the next season, of course, as
they did.
Douglas Adams came on board or further on board.
I know. I like that they
just. I kind of like it in the sense, even though I think he maybe dies a little too early, and because there isn't quite enough there with him and the Doctor before, it's too bad. But I like that it actually shows you blood and him dying in a grisly way, and it lets you kind of think about maybe your own bloodthirstiness, so to speak, because you hate this guy, you want to see him get what for, probably die, and then he dies in a really you're like, whoa, okay, well, I don't know if I really wanted that. So there's a little bit of thinking about that. There's there's little layers to things here if you look for them.
Yeah, and I do love the ending to the point of Bob Holmes writing some pretty good dialogue about the whole thing of when in doubt, cut everything. And then he hits it with a hammer. But also, Tom Baker gets to do his Genesis the Daleks moment. He's holding these two fizzing two cables, and there's no "have I the right?" No. There is no "have I." Kroll might be the last of his species. That might be another genocide, Doctor. What are you doing?
Could
All
be.
for a key to time. He's basically doing what the colonists are doing. He's going in and exploiting the resources of Kroll by killing him and retrieving a segment of the key to time. The Black Guardian.
Think about it being some kind of genocide. I don't think it really counts. Again, if this was brought up at the Gallifreyan courts, the argument I would make is that Kroll isn't really a species. There's nothing he could mate with, and there's no other way this species is going to continue anyway. It's kind of more of a special case one-off. So I think it's fine. I guess the thing that is a little too convenient for me is when he does this tracer on Kroll, and it turns him back into the segment. It's just right there on the tracer. Like, it just kind of conveniently falls on the tracer and it's converges right on there, where that's never happened in any other Key to Time episode. And it's like, it just sort of saves them the trouble of getting some scuba gear on, I guess, and find
I would have loved to have seen that, especially if Tom Baker had taken the flying ducks that he has on his lapel throughout this story. Is it probably not a reference that most North American viewers would get, but in Britain in the 70s, almost everyone who was working class, perhaps lower middle class, you would have these 3 flying ducks on your living room wall. It was such a trope, and the Doctor's got them here on his lapel. So you'd have to stick them on his scuba suit too.
Yeah, he had a lot of flair in this one, that's for sure.
He had many pieces of flair.
Yep.
You don't have to talk to him about his pieces of flair. Romana, on the other hand, you might have to talk to her about her missing shoe, which apparently is what Mary Tam lost.
Quick notes. I like that swampy is the term. It definitely feels like a racial epithet. It's tossed around casually, though, and you never actually hear like what they're properly supposed to be called, or if they do, it whizzes by you. So I think that's a little underutilized as something, but it's kind of good that it's there. Also, the cliffhanger at episode 1, even though I kind of like that it's a bit of a psych moment because it's not really Kroll, you have Romana screaming, and I think I'm not saying Romana can't ever scream, but I will say in this context, I think it's a little out of character for Romana. Like, she's supposed to be the more sophisticated companion archetype, someone who's a little more equal to the Doctor, and to sort of see her reduced to something more like a screaming Victoria or something like that. It's not really a great choice. Again, I think you can. It's not like Romana doesn't have emotions and can't get scared. I think that's completely fine. I think it's better used later in Destiny of the Daleks, where the Daleks have her prisoner and she's kind of got no hope of she could be exterminated any second, and she just seems really genuinely scared. And I think in that case it's played as like this is such a dire situation, even someone as cool as Romana is terrified, and that's not really how it's played here.
Right.
Again, that's not how it felt. I'm not saying she didn't think she was in danger or whatever, but it just didn't hit right with me. It's not like,
you're absolutely right. If you're going to have Romana scream, have it be a big deal and not just a guy in a suit.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, that is, that's doing Romana dirty. And but Mary Tam in this, I mean, I really wish she could have had a few more good lines. It doesn't really feel like there's not the snappiness and the repartee that we had even in the Armageddon Factor, which was uneven for other reasons. I don't know if Bob Holmes really gets Romana.
Yeah, she has that line early on, like, Doctor, I think you're not quite right in the head, which is kind of, it's almost like a classic line, but it comes across as a little mean right then and there, because
it's just ad hominem.
It's like he's not like doing something totally insane right then, and it's the Doctor. He's always
he's, a bit. Exactly. We know he's not right in the head. He's a madman with a box.
Totally.
Case closed.
Exactly. It totally answers the question of who the Doctor is. We've done it. We've answered the ultimate question. But there are some other questions that we do need to answer about the power of Kroll, and those are, of course, the 4 questions to Doomsday.
Kroll!
Watch for those tentacles coming through the windows. But we have a little time before it gets us, and we're going to answer the first question. Why did the randomizer take us here?
Well, there's clearly the it's given up on the pet connection that it was doing for a while.
What?
Unless
the pet connection.
The pet connection, unless you count Kroll as a pet. Bit of a.
It is at the end.
Bit of a
You got the little
serious.
squid.
Yeah, cute little squids. Squids for everyone.
Or an appetizer. I guess I already used that joke. But I actually really like octopus. Like octopus is a delicious appetizer. Calamari.
Yes.
Give it to me. There's a Greek place in New York that I used to go to all the time because they had like this amazing octopus.
Yes.
And it's just delicious. I love the end of Power of Kroll because I would be eating for weeks.
Yes, I had octopus for the first time last year in Greece. I think I'd just eaten squid before then, and I was dismayed to discover how much I loved it. How damn tasty octopus is. You're like, I don't want. I'm like, I don't want to like this. Like it's an octopus. They're really intelligent creatures. They're, but
come on,
yeah, their fault for being too tasty. Well, this has been Pulled to Open. It's a cooking show.
I will say octopi are badasses. I've seen my share of YouTube videos where they just come out of things and like take down sharks and things like that. It's like amazing how terrifying these things can be. So points for that.
That's right. Maybe they should have just gone actual octopus in a tank instead of this, puppet Kroll. Just have it be.
I don't know if you remember, but last time when we asked the randomizer for what we wanted, I said, "Hey, bring the heat." And there's a line here where the base's heat exchangers have raised the temperature of the lake, and that at least partially led to the awakening of Kroll. That's it. That's all it is. There's the connection.
That's it. Yes. Yeah, you're right. Raise the temperature by several degrees already. A more effective global warming scenario than the one that we got in the Ice Warriors. So I guess there is the pet connection where Romana says just before that it's like prodding a sleeping tiger. And so, once again, like...
Pets. Tyson, I think. Anyway.
Yeah. I will say, by the way, we probably should mention this earlier, but what is the deal with Bob Holmes and like methane smell? Like, didn't we just we did the Time Warrior a year or so back, where it's all about the stink bomb, right? The Doctor makes. And now he's all about the bad farty smell of. I mean, what is Robert Holmes? 7? Come on. A lot of fart jokes.
Interested in the idea of methane as kind of a fuel source, and I think it's talked about.
Fair enough.
Isn't that? Yeah, that's like the plot of Beyond Thunderdome. I think they get methane from the pig poop in the city. Anyway,
do they?
So I could see on a sci-fi level being interested in methane. In as some kind of fuel. So the last thing I'll say about the connections here is that if you squint your ears, listen closely to the Kroll chant, you can almost hear Vanilla Ice. It's like
really
din, 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 or din, 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 din. It's like they almost the same thing. You get a few more beats in there, you raise them up here and there. Like the Kroll chant is like it's all the same. I don't think there's any variation in the notes. It's like din 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 beat din 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 din, which is funny. It also reminds me of. You can almost see Jack Black writing this. It's like, this is my tune. It's not even a song. Yeah, but I told you to stop after every 5 beats. I wrote that. I mean,
wow.
By comparison, the folks, the Sisterhood of Karn has like the most sophisticated classical music ever for their whole sacred flame, sacred fire. Like that is like very, very like complex music compared to what the Swampies have come up with here.
Yes, and a deleted line, I should say, is the Doctor talking about their rituals, saying at this point they usually dance around and sing a few songs. They don't seem a very imaginative bunch. which is not a nice thing to say about Jack Black and Vanilla Ice. But there you go. By the way, if you don't know why we're referencing Vanilla Ice, go back and listen to the Ice Warriors podcast, where we did a very bad version, sorry, Mr. Ice, of his most famous hit at the start of the show. Yeah, we were.
That's what he's called in restaurants all over.
Please, Mr. Ice is my father. Call me Vanilla. Yes, all right. Let's move
Moving on to the second question. What if the evil plot had succeeded?
Okay, so the evil plot is thorns?
Yeah,
unless it's Rankins.
Kroll isn't really evil. He just wants to kill everybody. That's what he does every time he wakes up every 300 years, I think it is.
Yeah.
So you can't really call that evil.
He's just trying to eat, man.
So I think Thawne is pretty stupid about Dugeen, like not just killing him, but because before he kills, he throws him on the floor, he knocks him out, or sort of knocks him out. Mm-hmm. And then he has a minute or two, like while Dugeen is like leaning, like he's clearly struggling to get over to stop the launch. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why Thawne doesn't just grab him and like push him to the other side of the room. Like, why not just do that? And you could murder him or not murder him, but anyway, it looks like he could have pretty easily stopped him from pressing the button. And then he succeeds essentially in what he does because the doctor doesn't quite get there in time anyway. And so basically somehow he pulls off his plan, destroys Kroll and the Swampies. Somehow the refinery survives. But that would mean the doctor would survive too. So it becomes less of a stop the disaster and more of a see that this guy is indicted for his crimes and then recover the fifth segment later.
Yes.
I guess if you wonder what happens to Kroll, like, does the fifth segment then just like get in the swamp? I guess there would be a body, but I don't know.
Well, we do of course have to remember that. Well, as even in our random journey, we know the spoiler here, which is the whole search for the key to time is the Black Guardian's doing, and that he's trying to come in and grab all the pieces. So, in that meta sense, the evil plot does succeed here. And the evil plot would not succeed if the segment remained as Kroll.
Right. Well, yeah, it would. Like I say, if Thawne kills Kroll, and that's even possible, maybe he has so much power that it doesn't work. That, but if he does, then there's a body. There's like Kroll's there, and so then you can still presumably get the segment by waving the wand over the body. I would think. But there's also the chance of like he tries it just doesn't work, and the Kroll just destroys the refinery, and then everyone dies, and then there we are. The Black Guardian's gotta get some other Time Lord to get this going.
Or maybe some chefs who are really into Octopus, and like you've really got to dig into the meat of this one, guys. You're going to find some indigestible bone thing in the middle of it. Just give that to me.
Nice.
All right.
I would love to answer another question, the third question, which is, where is the Clara Splinter? Clara Oswald, of course, splintered in time at the end of the name of the Doctor. She's somewhere in every single Doctor Who story. Where is she in the Power of Kroll?
Well, I think that's probably the thing that I'm most upset by in everything that we've talked about is the way that Romana is forced into the screen that we know that is not worthy of her. And I like to think that Clara is actually a swampy who is sort of whispering to Romana that this is a guy in a suit, but she has to really do an impressive scream because otherwise the Doctor isn't going to come rescue her, right? Doctor needs to come in at that point to advance the plot, as Clara somehow knows in her splinterness. So she's the one who encourages Romana to do a really sort of companion-y scream. Maybe it's even a dub. Maybe Romana just sort of opens her mouth and it's actually, Swampy Clara, who we don't see any female Swampies, do we?
No, we don't. They don't
Maybe
employ
she's it.
women at the refinery either. Apparently, not a racist regime, but a sexist one.
Yeah, so maybe Clara the Swampy is just hiding behind the stone there, or hiding behind Romana there, and just doing the scream herself. And actually, maybe she's also the Swampy equivalent of a trained opera singer, and she's the one who breaks the glass as well, and we solve the Doctor's overdub problem.
Oh, yeah, I like that. I like that she's the one who breaks the glass. The Doctor thinks it was him, but
Yes.
Clara's really out there on the window with like a hammer or something.
Well, that would work too. I was actually thinking that if she's good at screaming, maybe she's good at sort of shattering glass with her voice, and so she did it that way, and that's actually her voice.
Oh, okay.
And the Doctor's just sort of opening his mouth. Nothing's coming out in reality, but he's like, "Oh, did I do that? That's fantastic. I'm really good."
I like that. I think I'll probably go with that. What I was thinking about was I actually listened to the commentary on this one. So I have the DVD, and there's a commentary, and it's actually a commentary with Tom Baker and John Leeson. So it's got two actors, and whenever that happens, I will say the commentaries tend to be very content free. They talk a lot about the work. I mean, it's fun that they talk about what a good time they had on the shoot and what sort of difficulties there were. But
Did he mention the chemical showers?
I don't think they did. But Tom Baker was constantly talking about how in some scenes he had wellies. He basically had big knee-high boots, and in other scenes he didn't. And it's true. So now that he's pointed it out, I can't watch Power of Kroll again without seeing he's got the wellies or he doesn't. So I have to think, maybe Clara is either, basically he has to be conscious of this. So maybe she's some future designer of clothes where these boots can sort of shapeshift. And at the wearer's behest, they can become boots or regular footwear. That's what I got. There's probably a better explanation here where Clara can play a role, but I couldn't really think of one.
Oh my God! Talk about getting in the weeds of a fan issue. I love it because that might be the nerdiest response to to filling in a continuity error in Doctor Who. But that's what Clara does. So thank you, Ms. Oswald, as always.
All right, folks, it is time to move on to the final question, but not before I tell you all about our website where you can subscribe to the Pull to Open newsletter. That's at pulltoopen.net. That's right. Subscribe there, and not only will you get the full written notes that we have for every one of our randomly selected episodes, and there is tons of notes. There are usually things we don't get to, so there is fresh content, plus some cool photos, and you get a nice new way to get notified that the podcast is up, that we have new content. So please subscribe there. And now it is time for the fourth question, the final question, the ultimate question and the only one that matters for the Power of Kroll. What did we think of this story? The Pull to Open rating system has 7 ratings. There is the Dalek, which we give to a good episode of Doctor Who. There's the Ogron, which we give to an irredeemably bad episode of Doctor Who. There's the Professor Hater, which is a not-so-good episode, but hey, at least they tried something. The Viscount Banger, we reserve it for the best of the best. The Fixed Point in Time, which is a show beyond rating, usually for reasons of nostalgia. The Lady Cassandra, which is a paper-thin plot, but hey, at least it looks good. And the Zarbi, a script that is so bad, it is good. What do you say about the Power of Kroll?
I say it is time to end these monstrous hybrids that I bring to the table every time. They're going to develop too many tentacles. I can't be responsible for this. It's time to kill the hybrid. I'm going to give this a straightforward 1 answer rating, and that is, to me, this is one of the clearest examples in Doctor Who history of a Professor Hater.
Oh.
Because there are so many things here that I think Bob Holmes learned, that he tried and learned. I mean, Anthony Reid, he was the director on this, I believe. He said that if anyone could do the biggest monster ever seen on Doctor Who, Bob Holmes could. Could he? I don't know. Is that what he's known for? It seemed that he was struggling a lot with this. He didn't really like it. He learned a lot from it. And some people have pointed out or suggested that this is sort of an early iteration of Caves of Androzani. Kind of an original draft. Little bit of a similar, corporate shenanigans vibe going on there.
I don't get it. What do you mean?
We'll get there when we get there. I'm only passing on the information that this feels to some people like an early draft of the same thing. But to be honest with you, we've talked about this on the podcast before. It has been a long time since I've seen Caves of Androzani. But certainly, this was one that put Bob Holmes off Doctor Who for a while. So I feel like the show learned a lot in terms of almost everything we've talked about, like how it treats Ramona, the Doctor getting too sort of dumb with the singing and the reed playing and all of that. For me, it's a Professor Hay, and the whole colonial narrative doesn't quite it's not quite there. I feel like this is an early draft of something, and not having enough close-ups, and with the vine thing work and the guy in the suit and all of that. I feel like all of that was big old learning for the show. Not the greatest segment of the Key to Time, has to be said. But I think but also I don't think it's a no-go. You learn a lot, and you certainly learn if you paint yourself green, always have the paint remover to hand. Yeah,
the BBC certainly learned a thing or two here.
That's right.
So, yes.
Oh, those actors were all Professor haters, I'm sure.
Cool. Well, listen, I actually think this one's a little underrated in that I think some of the things you said that don't quite work well enough. And particularly Tom Baker. Yes, he's a little goofy and not taking things seriously here and there, but I think that's the Doctor. You know what I mean? That's why, like I say, this is why I want to tune in every week, because Tom Baker's really fun and he has some good lines, and they can sort of save scenes that are otherwise taking themselves too seriously or just don't look that great. I think to malign the special effects, like I say, for classic Who, what are you even doing? Why would you bother? I do think they could have sold the special effects better, but I do think the ambition of let's do a gargantuan creature. Let's do it. I'd love to see them do more of that. I obviously it's kind of overused in today's media now, but I think there's an opportunity maybe to revisit. I'm trying to think if there's a new Who episode with some gargantuan. Probably is, and I'm just not thinking of it. Other than the space whale. I think it's fun. I think you're constantly kind of wondering what is going to happen with Kroll next, what's going to destroy, and if the next effect is going to be any better. So you're kind of sitting up and paying attention a little more than others. There's a lot of problems, but I couldn't give it a no grunt either. I didn't want to give it a hater. I don't know. I decided to go with a hybrid, and that's kind of a Dalek Zarbi. Yeah. And I know that's a weird one because I'm probably saying it's more good than bad, but I'll stand by that. I think especially for kids, I think this is a great episode because it really kind of gets your mind going in certain places. It certainly did for me when I saw it as a kid. So I like it. I thought Grace thought it was fine. Wasn't her favorite. She thought the Swampies were charming, and she liked their little chant and their little ritual. She thought it was a good little workout class that
it was,
mind attending. So that's
I'm starting to have a great idea now for a Doctor Who gym. With workout classes like that. Just hand out the spears. We're going to do the Kroll chant.
Nice.
That could be a class on its own. Yeah.
We need to navigate our way back through these tall reeds, get into our ship, and perhaps activate the randomizer, which is only 2 stories away from the Power of Kroll. Or actually 1, they get it at the end of Armageddon Factor, so...
Yes,
pausing the randomizer's existence.
pausing only to wonder why, as we step back into our time machine, there seem to be robot dog bites everywhere. Are we bad robot dog owners? We just left a robot dog in here? Yes, we activate the randomizer. It has two components, speaks to the controller one, and that is the codex. That's the list of all Doctor Who stories in sequential order. We take them off week by week, one by one. We bring them down to the total number that we still have to do. And Pete, are we at the magic halfway mark yet?
No, we're still a few stories away from that. We are at in the 60s now, though. The 160s.
Yes.
We're at 169.
169. Nice. So
Doctor Who stories remaining in the television canon that we still have to talk about.
That's fantastic. I cannot wait to get to all of them. So how we get there is the other part of the randomizer, the executor, played by random.org. It is a truly random thing, not this fake randomness of algorithms, which is just guessing at random numbers. This is true randomness using atmospheric noise and teeny tiny little octopi in the upper atmosphere. Little bits of Kroll, little Kroll stakes bouncing off the atoms there. Yes, so I use random.org. I enter the minimum number 1, maximum number 169, and then we pause for our chant. Randomizer. Boom, 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 boom. Randomizer. So, what say you, High Priest? Yes.
You should
randomizer.
take us somewhere where a Doctor Who story where nobody screams. No screaming.
Wow.
Let's see if there are any. Probably.
I was going to say, has that even been done? I mean, I guess Heaven Sent, but we've already done that. We did that, so yeah, that's a challenge. That is, the randomizer might actually listen to you, sir, and not just fire its methane output in your direction. I like that. I'm going to say, obviously I didn't have as good a time with Power of Kroll as you did. I don't have the nostalgic connection. Very much saw it as a Professor Hater. I'm ready. I can't remember the last banger we did. I mean, I called the Happiness Patrol, was my Zabi banger hybrid.
Right.
But we've not had a full-on banger in a while, it feels like. And because we're getting so close to, Romana, which makes me think Lila Ward, which makes me think Viscount banger, which is, of course, all Pultwoven fans know, the name of Lila Ward's father is the Viscount banger. I'm going to say Randomizer. Take us to one of the best of the best. Let's, give us time off for good behavior.
Okay, nice.
All right.
Let's do a countdown. See if we get what we like, because it's going to ignore us anyway. But it'll do what it does. Here we go.
All right.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Diving into the swamp and coming up with number 27.
Oh man, we're still in Classic Who.
Yeah, this is going to be another
we
one.
are. Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
No.
This will be a challenge.
Uh-oh.
It's the Space Pirates.
Oh, okay.
The famously missing episode. Perhaps infamously missing.
And animated? Not animated?
No animation, I believe.
Wow.
We're going to have to do this one from reconstructions and audios.
Reconstructions, yeah.
I think there might still be one episode in existence. I don't know if that's available. It might be available on iPlayer or something like that, but we'll figure this out. I think there's obviously a novelization, so we'll zero in on that too. A challenge. I actually have never seen, encountered, or even read the Space Pirates, so I'm going into this 100% cold, which is interesting. This is obviously a Troughton.
Yep.
Toward the end of his
We do
run.
know we do know the randomizer loves pirates. We should perhaps pause to note that there is still a pirate curse on Pull to Open for the time it forgot about the power of the black spot. Actually, if you go back and listen to our Armageddon Factor podcast, is where we actually talk about that at the start of the show. So explains everything there. Just say, don't bother now. We'll go back and listen to it. But yes, the space pirates.
As we record this podcast, we're getting close to Halloween. So you're going to hear this in November. That we're around Halloween. And pirate is obviously a very common costume. Look what's in the back.
Hey,
right
what?
There. For those not seeing YouTube or Spotify, I have my Doctor Who Discovers Pirates poster behind me. Also, the reason I brought up Halloween is because my costume this year is Wesley from The Princess Bride, who, of course, his alter ego is the Dread Pirate Roberts. So I feel like the randomizer is kind of getting back at me. I've been inviting this for the past, day or two.
Speaking of Robert Dread, the Space Pirates is the second Robert Holmes story.
Come on. Come on. How could there be so many? Guys, I'm getting freaked out. Halloween's a scary time, and I need to pull the plug on the podcast before I completely lose it. Folks, this has been Pull to Open. Pull to Open is a podcast. Podcasts are great things to subscribe to or follow. Please do that if you haven't already. Of course, you should also leave a review. Of course, you should also follow us on social, but you absolutely 100% should also share this podcast with a friend. That's the absolute best way to support the show. And I'm sure you know someone who would enjoy all of this fine Doctor Who commentary. Thank you, Martin West, for the music. You're always making us sound a little more professional than we deserve to be. And we will, of course, see you all next time when we go back to the Troughton era that we were kind of just at and do his penultimate episode, the Space Pirates.
That's right. With 169 Pull to Opens left to go, we've gone to a story from 1969 again. So there we go. Wow. Randomizer is just getting scarier. Our brains are exploding with noise, like we've been hit by the sonic weapon from the Ice Warriors. It's all happening. Come back next time, and we will see you with the Interstellar Space Corps, I believe. For some Space Wars.